Why didn't Vrabel wind up with a gig?
Vrabel wanted to coach by all appearances. He interviewed with the Chargers. He interviewed with the Falcons. He had that interview that never really happened with Carolina. And quite frankly, I'm not sure it ever really was going to happen. It seemed more like a way to try to get Atlanta to move on him. With Vrabel, there's a lot to unpack there too. He's another guy who, wants things to be structured a certain way. But I think even more so, the Mike Vrabel brand got tarnished a little bit, quite frankly. I mean, they lost 18 of their last 24 games during his time in Tennessee. Everything that played out this year was very strange in terms of going to New England for that, red jacket ceremony and saying the things he did at halftime and sitting in Robert Kraft's box, to all these reports about his frustration, everything else that, became this media thing, but he never actually tackled, never shot them down or addressed them with the people in the building. I think that also what you're really seeing here is teams are looking at some of the other teams that have had recent success here and seeing you can do it in more of a positive reinforcement type of a culture. D'Amico Ryans, Dan Campbell are two of the really good examples of that. And that's not to say that certain players don't enjoy working with Mike Vrabel, but your environment's going to be a little bit different with Vrabel than it might be with some of the coaches that we've seen hired in this cycle. I think that's the predominant trend. If you look across from Dan Quinn to Mike McDonald to Raheem Morris to Antonio Pierce to Gerard Mayo, I mean, go down the list, Brian Callahan, they're all positive reinforcement types of guys. They all have different personalities, but you're building this, we hear all these buzzwords from owners, collaboration and unity, a single vision. Those are the things that you're looking for here. I got no doubt that Mike Vrabel, if he wanted to come back and be a D coordinator, he can do that. If he wants to potentially go to, the college route or be in the NFL next year, I think he'll have the opportunity to do that. But it didn't really line up. And I think that part of that is because of the way things played out in Tennessee. Everybody sat back and said, how in the world are the Titans not going to trade somebody who's so highly regarded? Well, forget the trade. They fired him and he didn't have that opportunity. That probably says there's certain things that are going to need to be cleaned up over the next 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, Belichick's currently 71. Pete Carroll's currently 72. And the combined age of the coaches that replaced them is 73. So there's obviously a trend in that regard. Or it's just every year there's always going to be hot young coordinators that owners would rather roll the dice on, if you will, and just assume that their body of work is something that will translate to them becoming in charge of the full program. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.